on a number that is scrolling. Okay. National issues that require verification, national issues that require to build our country. It's an inaugural program as announced last Saturday. I think we'll be having it maybe Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And unless there is an emergency, we may have to host it as time requires. But join us, share as we go live, share so that many people can join us. Let us discuss various national issues. I've outlined the issues that we are discussing today. And like I said, today you'll be able to call. Let me just prepare the phone so that when you call, we can pick the number. The structure will be very simple. I will begin the program, introduce a topic, say a few things about the topic that we are discussing, then invite you to comment and participate in the program. It's an inaugural program, and we hope that the Lord blesses us in this program, that we aim to build our country, we aim to grow our country. We want meaningful debate. We don't want insults. We don't want things that distract us from the challenges and troubles of our country. Let me just switch on my monitor so that I can ensure that we are all live and we are all going on very well. Join us, share, join us and share. I know internet is a challenge back home in Zambia because of the load shedding that ZESCO has continued to, punish our people, even when water levels have since accumulated well enough in Kariba. I know this is water for the whole year, but they should be able to ease up the load shedding that is affecting our country. And we know network is a challenge because you have to, sometimes cell sites are not working. It's difficult for our people. But so let's begin the program. I'll be starting the program with a write-up I've done, but focused on Zambia, a write-up I've done focused on our country, a write-up I've done with inspiration from the Boston mayor. If you know who the Boston mayor is, Michelle, who go to her page, she issues very inspirational speeches, and I got inspired and I wrote this from one of our speeches. We ought to credit when you do that. So we'll be starting with this. What do we want for our country? We want a Zambia that should be admired, not feared. A Zambia that is stable, that is secure, that is safe. That is safe for ourselves, our parents, and our children to come. Not a country that looks like it's coming apart at the seams. We want a country that Dr. Kenneth David Kaunda hoped for. A country that Simon Mwansaka Pwepwe prayed for a country that Harry Mwanga Nkumbula dreamt about. We want a Zambia that Zambians fought for. In 1912, those are momentous occasions in our country. In 1924, in 1935, in 1953, in 1959, a Zambia that our people fought for in 1964, in 1991, in 2011, and in 2021. That's a Zambia we want. The Zambia that doesn't belong to political leaders, a Zambia that doesn't belong to kings, or a Zambia that belongs to you. A Zambia that our faith leaders always pray for. The Zambia Conference of Catholic Bishops, the Evangelical Fellowship of Zambia, the Christian Council of Churches in Zambia. A Zambia they pray for, a Zambia that has a leadership they pray for. A country that our people have always rallied and fought for decades. A version of Zambia, like I stated, that belongs not to kings, not to tyranny, not to dictators, a country that belongs to us, to you and me, to your family. That's a country we all dream of, a version that abhors dictatorship. And where it's possible to raise a decent family, doesn't matter where you are brought up from, where you grew up in the village, where you grew up in compound, where you grew up in township. We want a Zambia that will allow you to raise children, to raise a healthy community. We want a Zambia where schools work, where teachers are available, where it's affordable for, for both parents and the learners. A school system that works and teaches knowledge to our children to empower them in future. We want hospitals, clinics, health centers that work, that have medicine that can be dispensed. That's a Zambia we want. And where this healthcare is totally affordable. Sickness should not bring more sickness because you can't afford it. That's what a Zambia we want. Zambia is not a country that tolerates tyranny or dictatorship. Zambia is a country that has fought against corruption. Zambia and Zambians, there are people that have fought tyranny, that wish that they can express themselves without fear of a policeman or government official coming, or when they speak, they should not have ramifications. They should speak freely. So God bless our people. God bless our country. And God save whoever is messing with our country. That will be our opening prayer all the time. That's a Zambia we wish for. Today on Emmanuel Mwamba Verified, we are discussing the report on the project to evacuate water from Luapula Basin. President Hakainde Hichilema is at it again. He has reintroduced cyber bills. Will be in Parliament tomorrow. 2 cyber security bill and cyber crimes bill that he has introduced. Remember, they were withdrawn when there were a lot of concerns that were raised. The 20-year imprisonment, the punishment to WhatsApp group administrators that they can go to jail for merely allowing or sharing a matter on their platform. The laws are very oppressive. And we are discussing the proposed constitutional amendments. We've seen the argument by government. All of a sudden, things that they rejected are now pleasing to them. They even have what they are calling non-contentious issues. They want the amendment to be done. And they want you to believe that they are sincere in their approach. We all know where this circus ends. It doesn't end very well, and I think it will not end very well for the UPND. Let me start with the report that is out. This is a report on the evacuation of water from Luapula, from the Luapula Basin, that should be taken to Kafue River, then to power, Kafue Gorge Lower and Kafue Gorge Upper. as you know, Kafue River doesn't give water to Kariba. It doesn't, because Kafue delivers water. The Kafue River and Luangwa River deliver water after Kariba Dam. So this is to power the two stations on the way. So President Hakainde Hichilema, if you remember, met Chinese officials last year in September. The officials were from China Power, a company called China Power. And then we later saw meetings with the Minister of Water and Sanitation, my dear brother Nzovu, and his officials, and there have been negotiations and discussions. What has happened the last few months is that China Power embarked on feasibility studies to see how this can come out. The report is out. I saw the minister is very annoyed that this report is out before he has sight of it. That's a goodness with modern times and media, is that when something is funny, somehow the information will reach the people. So the feasibility study by China Power is out, and they've recommended 4 routes in it to evacuate water from Luapula Basin to Kafue River on the Copper Belt. The first route, and I've put it on my page, you can go to my page, you can see how they've tried to route the water into Kafue. The first route, Route A, will cost $8.4 billion. The second route, which appears to be the cheapest, and it will go through, I think, the DRC, will cost $4.1 billion. And they're even proposing that at Mombotuta, there should be a hydropower station, an upgraded power station. Route 3 will cost $17.1 billion. This is the biggest cost in Route C. Route D will cost $6.8 billion. The concerns by all of us is, why do you want to get water from Luapula? Is that feasible? Is that proper? Why can't you set up power stations in Luapula? There have been various feasibility studies of how to set up power stations, both in Northern and Luapula Province. In fact, if people are talking about topography, Northern Province has adequate topography to allow for power stations to take effect. And then what will you do to the environment? And then this water is shared with the Democratic Republic of Congo. Are you just going to evacuate it without agreeing? Remember, Chambeshi River, which comes into Bangweulu, which comes into Luapula, forms the largest and one of the second longest rivers in Africa, the Congo River. It comes from Chambeshi into Bangweulu, ends up into Luapula, and it becomes the famous Congo River. If you get all these waters, what will you do to the two ecosystems existing between the Democratic Republic of Congo and Zambia? And is it necessary that we should spend $17.1 billion in these projects? Who have they consulted? As usual, one time, Minister Gary Nkombo, Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, stood in Parliament and says, why should we have load shedding? It's lack of planning. President Hichilema even mocked President Lungu and said, you cannot have load shedding because Dubai doesn't have any water, but it has power 24 hours. What about you who have power? And Gary Nkombo said, we should evacuate water from Luapula Basin to the Copper Belt. It's just 100 kilometers in between. It appears they want, without studies, without verification, without consultation, they want to effect that. Even the appointment of China Power, what should have occurred first was a feasibility study by technocrats. Then government decides and goes on to a consultation process with stakeholders, chiefs in Luapula, Northern Province, chiefs in the DRC. Then you consult the stakeholders, our people. Then you take into account environmental processes. And then at that stage, you decide if it is possible. Then you advertise. the program and get contractors that can do this. But here it is locked to a contractor from the beginning who's done feasibility studies and has come up with this report that Honorable Nzovu is trying to, is angry about that. It leaked without his knowledge. I think, like all the things we are talking about, this is another miss. There's another matter, colleagues, the reintroduction of oppressive cyber bills in Parliament. There was an outcry. The Zambia Conference of Catholic Bishops said the laws that President Hakainde Hichilema wants to introduce, first, are a duplicate of existing laws. We already have terrible laws on sedition, on cyber crimes. The Cyber Security and Cyber Crimes Act of 2021 is already oppressive, terrible law that President Hakainde Hichilema promised, condemned the PF4 and said he would repeal, but it's a law they are entirely relying on. We have laws on criminal defamation. Remember, you were told that criminal defamation was outlawed and repealed. It was a lie. There's only a small portion that was repealed. That is the criminal defamation of the president. But the criminal defamation as a law, where whatever you say, you can be criminalized and you can be taken to court. You've seen even in social cases like that of Kidis Trifo and Elias Musiani, even a citizen can take another. Instead of going to a civil court, you can actually go to a criminal court, allow the police to arrest whoever has insulted you. In democracies, if I've insulted you, I take you to the high court or to the local court or the magistrate court. In a civil process, the police are not involved. You are never arrested. And at the end of it, you pay a fine or defamation cost. But in this case, you can go to jail for merely speaking. This is against, democratic tenets. So Parliament will hear the reintroduction of these bills tomorrow. Our stakeholders, the church, civil society groupings, freedom of expression organization, media institutes, you ought to speak. The law is back. We thought it was in retreat. Jack Mwimbu has brought them back. There'll be 2 bills that will be brought to Parliament tomorrow. The first one is the Cyber Security Bill, National Assembly Bill 29 of 2024. Is coming up for second reading. Second reading. It's on its way to become law already. The Cyber Crime Bill is also coming up for second reading, the National Assembly Bill 30 of 2024. They had said they had withdrawn. Here the bills are coming up, not for first reading, second reading, and they'll go into enactment, and President Hakainde Hichilema will sign them. We are here to sound the alarm. As if it's not enough that the president has fostered a dictatorship, that the president has fostered tyranny. As if it's not enough that the president has closed down the space for free expression and for the media. And even citizens have to watch what they say, what they write, what they communicate. You have heard on the phone, Zambians, our people are living in fear. Even in mere conversation, they will say, ushe tulipa WhatsApp. Tuye ku signal, tuye ku botin, tuye ku. Zambians are living in fear. They don't know who's watching. There is illegal tapping of phones in Zambia, and our people are afraid even to express themselves on the phone. And even what they write and send to you, they are afraid. President Hakainde Hichilema is bringing more oppressive bills. As you've heard, he's announced that he will make it more criminal. And like we always say, if why me is insulting, what about the youths that insult President Edgar Lungu every time? Why haven't you arrested them? Where is Grafael Musamba when people are insulting all of us? They say, no. There's carelessness on social media. People are telling lies and they are defaming others. Wakateka. Ngakoswe yomwatengamina mu State House. It's under you. You are literally one of the administrators. Stakeholders have told you, Mr. President, you are no longer in opposition. You are president for all. You cannot have these rogue media under State House. They are defaming people. They insult people. They scandalize people. They destroy people's lives. Right under your feet, under your nose, Mr. President. If you are committed to stopping the abuse of social media, why don't you start with your media that you run at State House and that the UPND are running, that insult everyone from bishops to their own ministers to all the opposition, and they insult, they defame. And the police, doesn't matter how many times you take the complaint, the police will not arrest the editors of Koswe because they're under President Hakainde Hichilema. So if you are sincere, you want to curb the abuse of social media, Mr. President, take a leaf, start with yourself, end the abuse that your infrastructure is perpetrating. But you will not. You will say the abuse is others. Don't just arrest why me and everybody else. Why don't you arrest those that insult our leaders and our people? Why don't you arrest those that insult? You still celebrate your Secretary General, who called the foremost leader of the Catholic Church in Zambia, Archbishop Alec Banda, called him the Lucifer of Zambia. My dear brother Sean Tembo even attempted to have him prosecuted, hired lawyers at private cost to prosecute your Secretary General. But as usual, your DPP came to the aid and discontinued that process. Mr. President, if you wish to curb lawlessness on social media, start with yourself. Do not allow your infrastructure to abuse it, to allow insults, to defame people. Even your words, Mr. President, you have to watch. A president should not be talking about buttocks, should not be talking about your political enemies. The president should not be talking that language, that those that are stealing cattle should go to jail for many years and their wives should be impregnated as many times as possible. Mr. President, when you have conflict and you are urging people like your permanent secretary from Southern Province, who has urged for a new law in which people that are in prison should have their wives impregnated. Sexual offenses, rape, defilement, abuses against humanity, you can be taken to the International Criminal Court. These are very serious in any conflict because you differ with your opponent, whether the conflict is civil, armed, or any other. Then you wish to punish the children or the women. You are in an area where you're breaking the laws against humanity. And your destiny is the International Criminal Court, sadly. So this talk is very dangerous. So the responsibility by the president, if he wants order in our country, if he wants sanity in our country, the responsibility starts with you, Mr. President. It doesn't start with anybody else. Lead. You are our president. Provide leadership. Curb the defamations that's going on under your office against citizens, against opposition leaders, against the church, and against others. Why don't you close Koswe? Your administrators, you know them. They're under State House. Why don't you close all these Zambia Accurate? You know their UPND and State House infrastructure. No, you won't. But you'll be worried about what a PF page says, or what about other pages say, or what Emmanuel Mwamba say. No. Umulinganya eufuaikwa. If you truly mean well, you'll apply the law fairly, in a decent manner, without discrimination, without favor. It doesn't matter who breaks the law. You will not look at the face of an individual. If it's Douglas Kalima who broke the law, if you were a leader of decency, you would have fired Douglas Kalima as Minister of Education because he insulted the people of Luapula. If you are a leader of dissent who wants a good, safe Zambia and secure Zambia, you would have punished your Secretary General. You would have dismissed him. You would have apologized for the mistakes and for those utterances. You would not go quietly to the Catholic leadership and apologize. Yet those insults were in public domain. The apology should be in public domain. The other matter, Mwewantu Wakwalesa, that is coming up tomorrow for second reading, that you might also take interest, is a plant and health bill. There are two bills that people in environmental issues, in agriculture, in farming are watching, that this government is crafting. First of all, this plant health bill is supposed to repeal the Plant Pest and Diseases Act of 1958. It is supposed to regulate what pesticides to use, but there's something very funny that the industry is not pleased with. I think there hasn't been enough consultation, and it appears that this bill could be promoting multinationals that sell pesticides. There's another law we need to watch for, the Plant Varieties Bill that is not coming up tomorrow, but it's been in the works. This law criminalizes the propagation and exchange of uncertified seeds. So inenga na vula my own seeds, napela baneba balima, I can be arrested and locked up. There's that law that this government is crafting. The people in the industry, in the agricultural sector, looking at even what Kenya is doing and others, this is an international bill. You know, there are these bills that cooperative partners promote to foster multinationals. Let me give you an example. In the mining sector, there's literally a standard mining development agreement that First Quantum has, that Mopani will be given, that KCM has, that Barry God has. You find it in the DRC. You find it in Sudan. These are not our laws. These are laws that are made from the West to protect the multinationals. And they are just handed to us as a draft. And we promulgate them and enact them or sign them. They never protect our people for environmental issues, for tax issues, and for us to benefit from our own wealth. There are laws, let me give you an example of the law on proceeds of forfeiture of proceeds of crimes act of 2010. Those laws are not our laws. It's literally a standard law. You find it in Kenya, you find it in Zambia. It was being promoted by the World Bank. It doesn't matter what your constitution says, your right to property, your fundamental right to due process. These laws were imposed on, and then, as you can see, they're being used to just grab citizens' properties. So there's these two bills that are coming on pesticides and on seeds. Mwewantu Wakwalesa, pay attention. They will outlaw our traditional seeds. Our seeds will no longer be available. It's only hybrid seeds from these seed companies that will be available to our people. And before long, we'll have lost our seeds. Remember, food security is national security. So one of the things they do is to replace your national security by replacing your food consumption with their food consumption, like they do with other sectors. Watch for those bills. The last matter is the Constitution. Mwewantu Wakwalesa, we've been on this path for the last, I think I can say the last 8 years, because an earlier plans to have proper constitution have been there, including the latest one before independence called the Moncton Commission. A lot of people forget that there was a Moncton Commission that then prepared our independent constitution. It was a law that was discussing the federation and the end of the federation. You remember that Zambia, Nyasaland, and Southern Rhodesia, Northern Rhodesia, Southern Rhodesia, Northern Rhodesia were put as one country. And the two were, the three were like vassal states to this federal state. And labor came from Nyasaland. The mines that were mining were from Zambia and Zimbabwe. And they built, the wealth built Salisbury and Pretoria. So there was huge agitation by Harry Mwanga Nkumbula, by the trade unions, by Kenneth Kaunda, Simon Mwansaka Pwepwe. And the campaign against the federation went very well in Malawi, in Zimbabwe, and Zambia, that by 1960, when Harold Wilson, the Prime Minister from Labour, who discussed that we have to abandon these colonies, also okayed for what they called the Moncton Commission for Zambia, where we evaluated if we needed to be in the federation, and then they prepared for the new constitution. So we've been at this new constitution process from a long time. In 1964, we were handed over a constitution that we didn't know, we didn't consult, we were not consulted, and it became our law. It's one of the funniest constitutions in the world, because the 1964 constitution is the only constitution that says the president of Zambia shall be Kenneth David Kaunda. He was promulgated, he was defined as a president of our country. If, for example, dispute arose and Simon Mwansaka Pwepwe became president, it was going to be a coup. It was going to be illegal, because the Constitution, the Independence Act, had defined as our president who should be Kenneth David Kaunda. In 1968, there was agitation. Kaunda feared multi-party state. He had lost control, and the opposition were very strong, and rebellion inside. You remember the 1968 UNIP conference, where Kaunda supported Mr. Kamanga, his vice president, but Simon Mwansaka Pwepwe beat Kaunda's vice president. He feared that he was losing power. He accused his colleagues of practicing a tribalism, but they trounced him, and Kapwepwe became vice president. That scared Dr. Kaunda. And before that, he couldn't amend anything without a referendum. So President Kaunda crafted the first path to destroying our constitution, even if that constitution was not good, but its destruction started then. He went to the people, conducted a referendum to remove the clause that required that any constitutional amendments should require a referendum from our people. So they removed the referendum for all referendums. And by 1973, Dr. Kaunda had outlawed multi-party politics, claiming that they were festering violence. The by-elections were becoming more violent. UNIP was being displaced by new political parties from Simon Mwansaka Pwepwe and Alumino Mundia. And Dr. Kaunda was not confident. So he saw what his brothers were doing in Africa, especially Nyerere, Julius Nyerere in Tanzania. And he also reintroduced the one-party state. His arguments were that the country had become unsafe, that multi-party democracy was a danger to our country, and that the insecurity in the region, because remember, by 1973, only Zambia and Malawi were independent. Angola was not. Mozambique was not. Namibia was not. South Africa was not. Zimbabwe was not. Only DRC, which was unstable already, Malawi and Tanzania were independent in our region. So Dr. Kaunda cited the issues because, remember, we hosted all the liberation movements. We actually hosted from Angola, MPLA, and UNITA. Before UNITA went rogue, they were in Lusaka. We hosted from Zimbabwe, ZANU and ZAP. From Namibia, we hosted SWAPO. From South Africa, the African National Congress had already made Lusaka as the headquarters for the ANC. They chose to have their fight in exile when the party was banned, proscribed in South Africa. So the ANC were located in Zambia. Mozambique, Frelimo, was located in Zambia and Tanzania. So we were under attack from apartheid South Africa and the sailor scouts from Zimbabwe. And genuine concerns were used to foster the one-party state. So a new constitution was done, which outlawed political parties. Remember, there was an agreement with Harry Mwanga Nkumbula, and an agreement was signed in Choma, the Choma Declaration. This was to allow us to have one party, inclusive, one-party participatory democracy. Then, forward to 1991, the economy was collapsing. The dictatorship had reached its end. Our people would not have any more. And the economy was biting. By 1987, there were food riots because milimi was totally unaffordable for our people, and the shelves were empty. And the dynamics, it was a bipolar world at the time. You had the Soviet Union and America on one side, and there were those international dynamics occurring. So it became inevitable that there will be dramatic change in our country, and that dramatic change will be the return to multi-party democracy. So the 1991 Constitution was done in a hurry. It's called the Mvunga Commission, named after Professor Mvunga, who chaired the 1990 Constitution. Again, it was a hurried document. We're looking at a referendum and elections in 1991. There was no time to do broad consultation. So there was some basic consultations that was done, and also relying on the consultations that were done in 1973. And we came up with the amendments in 1991, where President KK only, remember, did Section 4, which allowed for multi-party democracy, and also secured the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights before then was not subject to a referendum. That Article 79 was reintroduced in 1991 because Dr. Kaunda knew he was leaving power, but he needed to ensure that rights and freedoms were protected. And he feared that if the MMD, the new government, wanted to maybe harass or attack him, he wanted the rights protected. So Article 79 was introduced, and it became difficult to amend the Bill of Rights. You couldn't amend it without a referendum. That's why that Part 3 of the Constitution remains the same from 1991. And one of the campaign pledges by the president was that we're going to have a new constitution that will reflect democracy, that will abandon the hegemony of dictatorship and the one-party state. Remember, all the laws were designed to promote powers to the president, to the center. President Nilesa, that's how that 1973 constitution was designed. Everything from a policeman will arrest you in the name of the president. The president could hire and fire. Whoever exercised powers in the name of the president. So the president could be in your home by virtue of delegated power. So there was a promise during the 1991 democracy talk that the MMD will foster a true constitution that will guarantee rights and freedoms, that will ensure that Zambia doesn't go back to the tyranny and dictatorship, where institutions of democracy will be respected, where parliament will truly be independent, where the judiciary will be independent and will rule for justice, not for the executive, where the Electoral Commission of Zambia will conduct elections in a free and fair manner, reflecting the will of the people. The MMD, sadly, by 1994, Dr. Kaunda threw out Kebi Msokotwane. Remember the conference that took place at Namayani Farms outside Chongwe, and Kebi Msokotwane and Nkoma, who had risen then, were thrown out. Dr. Kaunda came on a path to come back. And as usual, politicians are very threatened by opposition, extremely threatened by the opposition. So the John Mwanakatwe Constitution, that was going very well, that had done consultation in every constituency, in every district, in every province, and they had gone abroad to benchmark the Constitution, all of a sudden was hijacked by a white paper from cabinet. All of a sudden, the Constitution was no longer reflecting the will of the people. It was reflecting the will of the executive. You remember that there was a huge movement in 1996 where civil society, that was civil society, not ayamadongo dongo tuakwata, ayamadongo lilo tuakwata, that was civil society. And they came up with a green paper at the time. They opposed the 1996 Constitution, but the MMD, using the arrogance of numbers, passed the law. And the law focused on Dr. Kaunda, didn't do anything to deregulate our country, to decentralize our country, to skim away powers that the president has and take it to other centers, did little to provide for authority, autonomy, and independence of democratic institutions. We created the Human Rights Commission after the Bruce Munyama Commission. It was a joke, it's toothless, it can't prosecute anyone. So before long, by 2001, civil society, the church, kept on saying we need a new constitution. That process was also hijacked. All of a sudden, the ruling party came with their own. We need a new constitution because President Frederick Chilwa is doing such a good job. He requires to have his third term. So we need to change presidential term because this is a beloved president. He's a blessed president. He means well. 10 years is not enough. That process was derailed. The people that wanted the constitution, a new constitution to be done, were forced to abandon it and now turned around and opposed the constitutional process because the executive had hijacked the process. They wanted to amend the constitution to provide for a third term. President Levi Mwanawasa is credited or condemned to the low votes he got of 29%. Mazoka got is 27 or 28%. Because of the fractious nature before elections of going to constitutional amendments, the constitution debate polarized our country, famously called the third term debate, polarized our country. On one hand, an isolated president with his candidate. On the other hand, civil society, the church, and the opposition. And Mazoka nearly won that election. But Mwanawasa said, look, I'm different. I mean well. Let's start a constitutional making process. So remember, we had the Moncton Commission. We had the Chona Commission from Mainza Chona, the former Prime Minister and Vice President, Mainza Chona. In 1990, we had the Mvunga Commission from Professor Patrick Mvunga, who was chair. Then we had the John Mwanakatwe Constitution in 1996. So you fast forward to 2001, President Levi Mwanawasa wins with a narrow majority. The opposition, in fact, if they were united, they would have taken that election because Mazoka and the rest of the opposition got 71%, while the winner, because of first past the post electoral process, he got 29%, but Mwanawasa still became president, even with 29%. And even when the opposition combined got 70%, they couldn't produce a president because there's an electoral system called first past the post. So one of the recommendations that came when President Mwanawasa appointed the Mungomba Commission, you remember Willa Mungomba, Zambia's only president at the Africa Development Bank, a distinguished lawyer and banker, was appointed to head the Willa Mungomba Commission. And a report was done, it was consultative, but it began to suffer difficulties. 2008, we went to elections in 2006 without amending the constitution. President Mwanawasa was determined that we should have a new constitution, but he died in office. It was taken over by President Luapula Basin. The Willa Mungomba Commission came to Parliament in 2010. The UPND led the PF then, led the big rebellion against that constitution process, and it failed. Here we are. The Patriotic Front promised a new constitution. They accused Luapula Basin of trying to bring a constitution that was not inclusive, that would not guarantee durability of the constitution, that would not guarantee that this constitution will reflect the will of the people, and that the grand norm would truly guarantee democracy and democratic process for our country. So the PF pledged a process, and Winter Kabimba was the Minister of Justice. He picked up from all reports from the technical committee, and President Mwanawasa, President Michael Sata dies 3 years later in office. One of the pledges by the president then, President Edgar Lungu, was that I'm going to enact the constitution if it is ready. He didn't even say that we'll look at it, we'll subject it to. He says, no, if it is ready. Stakeholders were called, they were all happy. And by the way, Musa Mwenye on Costa just the other day said this is one of the best constitutions that Zambia has ever had. It is true. People may not understand. One, this constitution guarantees certainty. Whether President Hakainde Hichilema wants it or not, we go to elections in August. We even know the date and the time and the day. This constitution removed the first past the post. Remember, Mwanawasa won with 29%. He was a minority president. 70% of Zambians rejected him, but he became their president. Why? Because of first past the post. This constitution says you can't become a president unless you've scored a majority vote of 50% plus 1. You cannot become president by narrow margin. This constitution has affirmed term limit for the president. 2 years, Baba. Two terms of 5 years. You are done. And you go to election every 5 years. This constitution has a lot of guarantees. Are there weaknesses? Of course there are weaknesses. But it's the best version of all the constitutions we've had in 1964, 1973, 1991, 1996, and 2016. This is the best version that attempt to reflect the will of our people. This is the only constitution. Does it need amendments? Yes, it does. But not for people that have ulterior motive. This constitution guarantees a running mate. A running mate as vice president has been the most secure. Remember, Mwanawasa had 5 vice presidents under a short reign of 8 years. Is it 3 or 4? Let me count them. He inherited Enoch Kavindele from Dr. Chiluba. He appointed our dear brother, Zambia shall be saved, our dear brother Nevas Mumba, who lasted for about 14 months. He picked Lupando Mwape from Northern Province, former Lukasha MP, who was the deputy minister in Northern Province. He picked him as vice president. Unfortunately, in 2006, Mr. Lupando Mwape didn't win Lukasha seat. He was beaten by my dear sister, Mrs. Mwamba Kansembe. She beat the vice president, was whacked in that election. So Mwanawasa couldn't appoint him. So after that election, he had lost his vice president in Lupando Mwape, and he had now to look for a man that was in retirement, Luapula Basin, who had been in retirement for the last 15 years and had settled in Eastern Province as his beloved retirement home. But he was called because of his wisdom from obscurity and made vice president. So he had 4 vice presidents. It's no longer possible. If you have to remove your vice president, you can't remove them like you change shirts and vests and pants. You cannot. Because the vice president is elected alongside you. We know that presidents, learning from or fearing what has happened in Malawi, what has happened in Kenya, they are afraid of an elective vice president. We know they have plans to remove that. They're telling you non-contentious clauses, that they want to include issues of CDF, that they want to include women and youth in politics. Wakateka. In your appointments. Why haven't you reflected that? You are allowed to, first from your party when you go to elections, why don't you ensure that you meet those quotas for youths, the people you subject to an election, so that you have a youthful and women in parliament? Why don't you use those discretionary powers? As a party, you say, no, if we were as a party, we are going to get 30% women, 30% young people, and we'll subject the 40% to other candidates. Why don't you do that? So that then your parliament reflects young people and women. Do you need to change the constitution to do that? Mr. President, you have 28 ministers. How many are women? 5. Are you sure, Mr. President, that there are no competent women in this country? How many youths do you have? You have an opportunity to nominate 8 MPs. Mr. President, how many have you nominated as 8? How many have you nominated? So clearly, you are not reflecting that. You have an opportunity, Mr. President, to appoint permanent secretaries, diplomats, to appoint all and sundry CEOs for state-owned enterprises and agencies. How many women have you appointed? Why don't you reflect? Why do you need to change the constitution to provide for women and children when they are already provided for? Mr. President, so abantu nga bale baya tumulefu okufumya hapo running mate clause. Who wouldn't believe that that's what you want to do? Abantu nga bale bati mulefu okufumya hapo ama term limits because your party is proposing 7-year term limit. Your young brother, Gilbert Liswaniso, you have not reprimanded him. He was on TV just the other Sunday, and he was saying, President Hakainde Hichilema, I guarantee you will be president until 2040. Mr. President, how will you be president until 2040, according to Gilbert Liswaniso, if you are not tampering with the term limits that Zambians have said no president will serve more than 2 terms? Why is Gilbert Liswaniso so confident, Mr. President? He goes on national television and he says, you will be president until 2040. How will you be? If you are not changing the term limits from 5 years to 7 years, maybe you are trying to emulate your dear brother, Paul Kagame, our dear brother from Rwanda. Is that what your plans are, Mr. President? And can we trust your word that you mean well, that you will not amend the constitution? Can we trust you, Mr. President? After all the broken promises on the economy, on mealie meal, on fertilizer, on electricity, the lies you have told to Zambians, today you stand up and say, I mean well. Do you think that Zambians will trust you, Mr. President? Do you think that Zambians will trust you to say you mean well? Obviously, they will not. They will not. They don't think that you mean well. Mr. President, the issue of the Constitution 16 months before elections, something you've not planned for. It has not reflected in your budget by your Minister of Finance. If it was very urgent, you would have provided for in 2022 so that preliminary work begins. You'd have provided for in 2023. You would have provided for in 2024. You'll have provided it for in 2025. Mr. President, you have not provided for funds to change the constitution. Your so-called non-contentious issues. The UPND are running T-shirts. If Zambians have seen their T-shirts, they're saying, each HH until 2080. How will you be president until 2080? Almost 50 years. If it's not to tinker and tamper with the constitution. Mr. President, the reason Zambians are saying, stakeholders, the church issued a statement just last week. The Zambia Conference of Catholic Bishops, Evangelical Fellowship of Zambia, the Christian Council of Zambia said, Mr. President, if you mean well about the constitution, let's do it after the constitution. You have a terrible economy. Zambians are dying. There's no employment. The economy has collapsed. Debt is rising. Mr. President, the cost of living crisis is the worst we've had in the last 30, 40 years. Mr. President, before you attempt to deal with the constitution, why don't we deal with these urgent issues that are preoccupying and making Zambians suffer? Why don't you, Mr. President, deal with the issues of load shedding? Why do you want to introduce constitutional proposals and constitutional amendments, which you have not provided for? There is no money. Even if there is money, currently the state of the economy, Mr. President, you've been downgraded. We're a low middle income country. Since 2022, the World Bank says we are now among the 6 poorest countries in the world. That's what we are, Mr. President. You have a volatile exchange rate. Your market, Dan Kalialia and Musokotwanes Tumbeko, have failed to contain the market. They've given literally free money to the mining sector. Even when Bank of Zambia attempt to rein in and attempt to control the foreign exchange market by bringing a mechanism that should allow every exporter to bring the proceeds to a local account, you have not implemented that. Your Minister of Finance has actively frustrated that process. There are no mechanisms. You know we are an import-oriented country. You know we are an import-oriented country. We import up to 80% of what we consume. So if we have a volatile exchange rate, it immediately reflects in the economy. What our civil servants are getting is meaningless. Because if the kwacha was at 17 kwacha and people were doing importations, it's now at rushing to 30 kwacha. The income has lost value for our workers. Mr. President, you have a lot of things that you ought to attend to. Get to do the job you were elected for. You were elected to deal with the economy. You said you were Mr. Fix-It. You said there will be no load shedding. You said Milimi will be 50 kwacha. Mr. President, you promised heaven on earth. And Zambians who voted for you are merely asking, Mr. President, honor your word. Honor your word. That's all they're asking you to do. But no, you want a constitution. And the UPND says you'll be president until 2080. There's Gilbert Iswaniso announced that whether Zambians like it or not, you'll be president until 2040. How will you be president until 2040 if you will not defile our constitution? If you will not destroy the good in the constitution? How will you be president until 2040? So Zambians have a duty to rise and defend the constitution. We have a duty. The president swore to protect and honor that document. He has decided to dishonor it. Look at the tyranny and dictatorship he has fostered in our country. Parliament is now his doormat. The judiciary is now his doormat. Electoral Commission of Zambia is now his doormat. Look what they are trying to do even to UNIP. Shua mwe wantu wakwalesa. Tamoko atako noluse. UNIP o mwingaya iwa shua UNIP mwe wantu wakwalesa. There is no humanity in the leadership that we are seeing. I think Zambians have fought for a better country. There's a number I gave out. Let me give it out if it's not showing, so that you can call on WhatsApp. If there are no calls, I'll quickly close, because you might not have enough power, with this load shedding. You may not have battery power, so that we can quickly close. Let me just look at my phone that I had given out. Let me look at the number. If you can call us and hear from you over the issues we've talked about. Evacuation of evacuation of water from Luapula into Kafue. Evacuation of, okay, let me just looking for this number. So the number to call me on WhatsApp is 0973 07 8082. You can reach me on that number, 0973 07 8082. Let's just try to see if there are any callers, but this was an inaugural Emmanuel Mwamba Verified program, and we'll be coming to you to discuss various issues. Let me just see if this is truly the number. Sometimes I mix the numbers. Okay, so the number I've given is the number you can call. It's 0973 078082. If you wish to contribute to this program before we close, please, you can call. And I didn't know if my volume is okay, and I hope that everything, yeah, let me see just if there are any questions from social media, from Facebook. Okay, we have a good number of people watching. That's very good. And the comment, very good. So let me just look for some comments that maybe I may respond to. If you cannot call, please call on that number quickly. And I pray that the buffering was less today. Okay, so I'll invite you to call on the number that I've given. The number again, let me, I don't know if it's not scrolling. The number is 0973 078082, but you can only reach me on WhatsApp. Mubantu bakwalisa ushawale mitinya sana muletina nokutuma. Oh, they've been calls. Okay. I can see. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. Banemo Abombeni.
You arrive, huh?
Yes, Emmanuel Mwamba Verified.
Okay, all right. I'm not going to mention my name.
Yes, please.
For program. Yes. I think my first submission is here Luapula.
MKI.
Please, we are pleading to our chiefs in Luapula to reject that proposal.
Mm-hmm.
In the second item, I don't know how you can advise on where are the voices. We seem to be all quiet about the amendment of the Constitution. And why is the UPN pushing it so much? Please, can we all rise up and defend this? Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. The number is now on your screen, 0973 078 082. Please call on that number. Let's hear your contributions before we close. We are discussing 3 topics. Please call. I can see I'm missing a lot of phone calls. I'm so sorry, but I'm paying attention now. Oh, the phone has been busy actually. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from and make your contributions. You are live. Please make your contribution. Oh, the caller couldn't. Okay. Hello, good evening. Please say your name and your contributions.
Good evening, Mwamba.
Good evening.
So, my contribution, Mr. Mwamba, is, you politicians, if it is somebody very not trustworthy, it's you politicians. Because what you are saying, like you've mentioned a lot of things, thousands of things. So are you telling us now, Zambian, that what you are, okay, like, how sure, how can I put this? How can we be sure that what you're telling us is truth? Because you're a politician.
Yeah. No. Thank you very much, Bolwin Dalitumez. There is currently low trust with politicians. Someone said President Hakainde Hichilema is the last one to lie his way into the office. Zambians will not take any more lies. So there is low trust for Zambians. Low trust for politicians. Hello, good evening. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Yes, good evening, Ambassador Mwamba.
Good evening. Yes, please make your contributions.
Okay, so thank you so much. The thing is that I'm happy the way you are articulating things there. Ambassador Mwamba.
Yes, please go ahead. Keep on talking.
Okay, so the thing is that...
you switch off the feedback. I know you're being disturbed by the feedback. So just put the volume down where you are listening by your device. Just lower, because it will be disturbing you.
Okay. So from what?
Yeah, now say your contributions.
Yes, so I'm happy you are explaining about the Constitution. Now, like the way the previous scholar mentioned, it comes out, we were like in field. How now be the and how sure after they introduced the blend.
Oh, your line is so bad, my brother. Try to call back. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening, Ambassador Mwamba.
Good evening, my dear brother. Please tell us your name and where you are calling from. If you are not willing to tell us your name, it's okay. You can say anonymous and make your contributions.
I'll be anonymous for now.
Thank you.
The president, one, has an opportunity to enact the provisions that are already in the constitution to represent the women and the youth. There's no rush and no need to go for the sacred document of the Republic of Zambia. Number two, we want the UPND to lead by example by changing their constitution to reflect the things that they want to take to the national level constitution. So let them put it clear in their constitution that a certain representation will go to the women and that another representation will go to the youth. Let them be transparent and public about it. Then we can trust that they mean well. For now, we don't. We have a constitution that's working very well, and there's no rush to have an amendment without the due process of consultation and getting representation from all the stakeholders that matter, and that is the people of Zambia. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Call us on 0973078008 to make your contribution to the three topics we're discussing today. We're discussing the evacuation of water from Luapula. A new report is out by China Power. We're discussing proposed constitutional amendments and the cyber crimes law that this government is fostering. In Parliament, the bills are coming up tomorrow. You can make your contribution on any of the issues. Okay. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. If you are not comfortable to tell us your name, you can just say anonymous and make your contribution. Hello, you are live? Good evening, please.
Good evening, Ambassador Mwamba.
I can hear you. Make your contributions.
I'm your namesake, calling from Zambia.
Wonderful. Kindly make your contributions.
I just want to, what could be the estimated budget to set up a hydropower in Luapula or Northern from like 5 megawatts? Because I've seen the figures for the figures, I've seen the figures on your Facebook page where they want to,
Yes.
Where they want to take water from Luapula, take it to the southern part. That money can't be enough to set up hydropower in Luapula.
Yeah. No, you have, I can answer you just quickly. We have estimates already from the Batoka hydropower station that they're trying to put up. It will be one of the largest in Africa, the one in Livingstone. And it will cost about $2 billion. The evacuation of power from Luapula is costing $4.6 billion, $8 billion, up to $17.6 billion. So clearly, you can make many power stations from that kind of money.
All right, I get you. Then I just want you on your platform, kindly emphasize we have to raise as Zambians to speak out. The amendment of the constitution, it's not important at the moment because the cost of living in our country, it's too bad to everyone. So kindly urge everyone, especially the civil society, the church, to come out and speak about this so that we stop this government not to amend the constitution. I submit.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling from. And if you wish to remain anonymous, you can say so.
Ambassador, I have a concern on you. There was a time when Tabo Kawana called you a big liar. Tibanyama Tababozangako. Do you remember that instance?
Yes.
Yes, because I've raised this concern because from the literal knowledge that I have, the so-called UPND government, they sent a lot of youths in diplomatic duties, a lot of youths from all provinces. And this issue of the constitution amendment, because the law that we have right now, it doesn't command the president. It doesn't command. It's like a suggestion to say you can do this. But if we make a law for the proportional representation in the parliament, because that will be a command. It will be a command. So if it's a command, then nobody can alter it because it's a command. So there is a need to amend the constitution. If we say why can't they like why the president can't appoint women now, like the way you've been analyzing it, I don't think you're not fair enough, because we need those people to be put there by us people, Zambians, because if the president put them there, maybe there's it won't look too democratic. So for the benefit, in the interest of democracy, if we ask the people can elect those people like the women, like they are proposing, I think for me, as I'm concerned, I don't think this is a bad idea. It's a very good idea, in fact, because us people are going to choose who's supposed to go there.
Okay.
So,
thank you very much, my dear brother.
Really
I think we've gotten your point. Yeah.
Especially that we haven't yet even seen the draft. Maybe if we can wait, we see what they are proposing to us. That's when you can have a say. Because right now, we don't know what is there.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much. My brother, they call me all sorts of names. The Lord tells us that you should know who you are. Know who you are. I bring facts. I bring the truth. It may not be pleasing to them and they might call me names. My role is to give you the information that you desire and make that decision. I try that my debate is founded in truth. Hello, good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. If you wish to remain anonymous, you can remain anonymous. Give us your contributions.
I would like to remain anonymous.
Yeah, speak louder a bit, my brother.
Okay. My contribution is we have enough time for us to look at the constitution. My question may be why now? Now that we have a year and just a few months to elections, why are we so desperate to amend the constitution? We have a lot of challenging issues in the country. And is it that the Europeans want us to divert the attention so that we can focus on something else? Right now, they haven't fulfilled the campaign promises. So how do we trust them that they will really deliver a constitution that will, be inspired by you? I think that's my contribution.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Hey, let's have your calls quickly. Let's have your calls. Let's hear your views. This program is made by you. Hello, good evening. Welcome to Emmanuel Mwamba Verified. Tell us your name and where you are calling us from and what your contribution is.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Chanda Mwila. I'm contacting you from Luapula.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, so Ambassador, first and foremost, I would like to just express my disappointment with this government. I personally am a youth. I woke up that day early morning, I woke up And I know I cast my vote for HH. But frankly speaking, I don't think this time around I'll give him my vote. First and foremost, we are not in a rush to change the constitution. Right now, what he needs to work on, what he and his government needs to resolve is the economy. And I voted on that premise. So to rush into going to change the constitution, I don't know. Is he desperate to stay in power? It seems like he's desperate. And right now, he needs to resolve the economic issues, not the constitution. And the other thing is the issue of, pumping water from Luapula to the southern part of Zambia. No. It's too expensive. Those are expensive projects. And, they are giving tax holidays to the mines. They are not even considering where they're going to get this money. Or even changing of the constitution itself. Where are they going to get the money from? So it seems their priorities right now are offside. And I'm really disappointed in this particular government. And I think all the young people listening to this, let's just rally behind a young people kind of movement. I think that has been started by Makitu and others. And let's just remove these people. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what it means to be in governance. Thank you, Ambassador.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you for those contributions. Keep on calling before we close the program. Hello, good evening, and welcome to today's program. Emmanuel Mwamba Verified.
Ambassador Mwamba, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Shairu Mbureshina.
Mkwai.
Icha number 1 wa Mwamba tule mpepera kwa kalamba panchite omugomba.
Mkwai.
Ama politics ya Mzambia problem tukwete ya kweba ti ngachakwa na bamuruling party on support whatever you say neshifia bufi. This is the main problem that we are having as a country. Apefe mulandire fionse fishing no kuchitika file chitika. So to see people coming out, criticize and doing what, it's not simply giving sense. I'm a youth. And I think I can use this opportunity to also encourage other youths. I am my issues, I am a constitution. Will not even affect our Kalambab. But you are phasing out at some point. Fika shala pari fue misepela na bana besu. So when you are fighting for us, I think it's high time that we stand up and defend you guys. So Wakalambeli Ashia Constitution, even when they brought Bill 10, I was against Bill 10. There were some clauses where I would call the member of parliament and say, by MP, if you Bill 10, then okay, if you want, but if you win. Now imagine if you have a Bill 10, Peter 2021, but PF. Abarusa pa ngaba chite benefit ni bana ngani ba UPN. So even abapene, the problem is that people think ngaba chita water constitution then it's automatic bana win my election. Zambia is changing from time to time Bakalamba.
Yeah.
You may change your environment to apanikanya cyber security laws everybody change fikesa mkuabika vimba problem abenya bale fipanga. Because I can tell you I'm from Copper Belt. I can tell you 2026 it's 50-50. And I mean 50-50 man they have got UPNT, they have got government machinery, but on the other side, by opposition in So when you have a situation like this, you don't engage yourself in high speed to come up with that jinja mafundi. Because I am a fund of the ice problem.
Yeah.
So then Jimbi Shakwati, how many if we ever grew up to Alishama. Why with if you are fairly simple, if they want to put up my hydropowers, why can't they just bring that investment to Luapula? So I think it's also a big issue. Nabena kwena na understand. Abena Luapula kati chipokerere bwino awo. Na ifo tulefu ya investment. Shire nchitonga shaba kulya. Abena Luapula balangira kwa machito. Nombo kula senda fiamesh. Bamwamba imimana shikambo kukama. Nenfula ineri mbiroka. Ikaleka n'okuloka. Ife tafire pera sense nabali kyame fyafine fe yabe ngale fo kubika malaiti kulya nabapange fya plans ku Luapula. So bakalamba lesa alikuwa damaka. Ba president Hakainde Hichilema is the biggest letdown to the young people of Zambia. People like me, I was in forefront, even using our small resources to support this UPND party. But we are so disappointed with the manner the man is running the country. Mama, uwalanda kofie waikata. Fidefu tatuare for even in PF, we are against this.
Mkwai. Yosondweleleni bane. Mkwai, yosondweleleni, and we will need to end the program. We need to end the program. Sondweleleni, we need to end the program. Okay. Let me get the last 3 calls and then we close the program. Oh my. Okay. Just a minute, just a minute. My camera's gone off. Probably I didn't put a power bank to it. Just a minute, and I hope that we can be back online. Yeah, I can hear you. Please make your contribution. Good evening. Yes, Manyurenda. Yes.
Over the constitution.
Yes.
We're all concerned about this.
Yes.
My contribution or my question is, what other methods can we use for us to stop the government or to stop the president over the constitution they want to amend?
Yeah.
Apart from just speaking.
Yeah.
What other way can we use? Because this is not a simple matter.
Yeah.
It's a serious matter.
Which
it will affect our generation children in future.
Yeah.
In November, you say Mumbo Kulila.
Ispareko Ashintiri.
And when you see the contribution which the same UPND which they are using, they are saying 2050, like the way you are saying, 2040. So they are not speaking from the blues. I'll take you back. I'll take you back when you go back again. During our president, former Republican President Waibiga, when the case was in court, you remember what was happening?
Yeah.
When Waibiga, the case was in court, they loot the same people, this opposition, the same government, or the same UPND supporters. They loot. They started saying before to say Tagudo Filea, before the judgment, if you can recall well.
Yeah.
So even this one, we should not take it for granted, because they are speaking for what they have seen. And to make matters worse, Mwamba, no one has seen that constitution.
Yeah.
You see, we are just speaking. No one has seen that constitution. And which law, which they are using, whereby you amend the constitution without the people see the draft. I think you need us to guide us as people, some of us who are not much aware, so that we can know exactly other plan B we can use to stop this before it goes there.
Okay.
Because what they are saying, I think you have seen their confidence, which to them, they have already informed us, to them they have already make it to be real. Like the way it happened to the performer, so we should not forget what happened to the performer.
Yeah.
Over the ruling judgment about eligible. And this is what is going to happen if we are not careful.
Yeah.
So my question is, what other way means can we use to stop this constitution?
Okay. Thank you very much. I think the opposition held a press conference and guided that one of the things you do are civil processes allowed by the law. Protests are allowed by the law. Demonstrations are allowed by the law. Picketing is allowed by the law. All these are allowed by the law. So these are the things you can do. You can participate in these things. I'm just having some technical challenges. Please say your name and what your contribution is. Don't worry about what I'm doing. I'm just trying. Yeah. Give us your name and your contribution.
Good evening, Mwamba.
Good evening. Iyo twabomba bane mulishani. Mkwai.
Yeah, my contribution on this matter of constitutional amendment is very, very, very simple.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very, very simple. When we are in the nation, as I understand, we are the one who's supposed to claim as a Zambian what belongs to us, as a Zambian what we should take.
Mm-hmm.
There is no way any government or any president can come and start amending constitution without the involvement of the Zambians. There should be we must involve everyone, including the clergymen. We must involve everyone, must have a say. And to make it more worse, we have got so many problems right now. We need to solve the issue of cost of living. Why can't they divert money from starting doing that process and help people to survive? Because people are dying with hunger. There are no medicines in the hospitals. Employing teachers doesn't mean that they are creating jobs. That's not jobs. They're actually making more problems. Because these people they are employing, some of them don't have even schools where they're going to teach. So they are leaving important matters and they are following things that can wait and they put them as priorities. So we are in a serious crisis in this country because the people have given power to lead this country. They don't know anything about leadership. They know nothing about leadership. They don't care about the people they are leading. They don't care about the people who voted them. All they know is intimidating people. We are going to arrest you. We are coming after you. What kind of a country are they going to create these people?
Yeah.
So if we allow them like we have been allowing them all this time to start amending constitution, we are done. We are finished. We are gone. We must not allow them this time around. Thank you so much, Ambassador.
Okay, thank you. And let me take the last two calls, and then I quickly offer my closing remarks. And good evening, and tell us your name quickly and make your contributions. Yole sale tupala shana imwe. Mkwai.
Ndiwamulusa katata bamwamba twapapa atamuse mutulubule kuli ubuteko bwabaye chechi.
Mkwai.
Uyu muntu uyu wali bipo mutima nabamuno mulusaka wanovu komboni abamwama ndevu constituency nga mwasange village ta amakadas bali apaliwo Shoprite bali along Great North Road paeso sisiko bali.
Mkwai.
Eti mufite mwe batata and then ifyo bale chitana okwa okulayikata abantu nga baleta bulabwino obunga bwa ZNS eti mufite tule milombele palo no kuikatana mwise mutulubule 2026 twapapa techine chile
Mkwai.
ikataneni ngama banzi mukese tulubula aba bantu batushupa ukuchupe chalo kushupila kumonamu uli munda lesami pale batata bamwamba nimpose nshitapuli mukusondwelela program.
Thank you very much Mwafiash Natasha sana. Natasha na mapalo mwatupela.
Mune umfwa.
Mkwai. Thank you, sir. Okay, you be the last caller. You are the last caller. Honorable Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Yeah, for now, I'll keep I'll not say what my name is.
Okay. Please proceed to make your contributions.
Yeah, first and foremost is that
Are you there? Oh, yeah, okay.
Yes, I'm here. Okay, so the issue is that the issue is that look, like you did indicate that the constitution making process has been a lengthy one, but
continue.
Hello.
Continue.
Yes, the process has been a lengthy one, and rightly so. The other caller just said that actually because of all right, you can hear me?
Yes, I can. You are live. Please proceed.
Okay, so the issue is that if you look at there was
we lost our caller. Okay, maybe. Hello, good evening. Please tell us your name and your contribution. I'm looking for a last caller. Okay, Mwantu Akwalesa. I think the Lord blessed us with so many calls. It's a pity I have so many missed calls, but I understand the challenges that we have in Zambia. There's a little glitch on my broadcast. It's a technical matter that we are going to resolve, but the volume and voice sound has not been disturbed. It's just an issue of glitch, and the cameras will sort that out. Please, I'm taking the last call. What is your name, and tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hi, Mr. Mwamba. How are you?
Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
My name is Michael, calling you from Lusaka.
Yes, my brother.
So I just wanted to contribute something.
Yes.
About this current regime.
Yes.
You know, Mr. Mwamba, these guys, they are saying in Zambia we have peace.
Yeah.
Than before.
Mm-hmm.
People are at peace and everything is okay in Zambia. And I came to realize to say the reason why we are at peace as a nation at this time, according to me, how I analyzed things, the way these guys are saying, no, there's peace in Zambia. So I came to realize to say we had people in opposition who were arrogant, and people, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you, my brother.
Hello, Mr. Mwamba.
I can hear you very clearly. Oh, we lost our last caller. Mwantu Akwalesa, I think I'd like to thank you for joining us on this broadcast. It was our inaugural Emmanuel Mwamba Verified. I'm alone. I don't have a technician. I'm setting up all this alone. There'll be various glitches. We'll have opportunities to ensure that when you call in the system and the volume is far better, and I don't have to hold the phone. And also the glitches you are seeing, I think will be eliminated in time. Today was our inaugural program. We're discussing 3 major issues. The issue of evacuating water from Luapula to Kafue River. The report is out. I think the Minister of Water Affairs and Sanitation is expected to speak to this. They had engaged a company called China Power, which has done the feasibility study and has produced a report that is already in public domain. The minister expressed concern that this document is out before he could have an opportunity to have it and share with stakeholders, but it's a very serious matter. The amendments that this government is bringing for second reading, the Cybersecurity Bill and the Cyber Crimes Act, 29 of 2024 and 30 of 2024. Serious worry. This man, President Hakainde Hichilema, is closing in on spaces for media, for freedom of expression. He's closing on, he's blurred the line of independence of and autonomy of institutions and the separate wings of government, the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. He's clearly interfering and is fostering a tyrannical government, something Zambians have always rejected. And another matter we're discussing is a proposal for constitutional amendments. I think Zambians have been very, very clear. They've rejected the issue of the constitution amendment. My camera is acting up. I hope I cure this issue. Just you can forgive me. You can just forgive me a bit before I close. Yeah, thank you very much. Before I close, yeah. So we've been very affected by the issue of this constitutional proposal. Zambians are saying, Mr. President, yes, we may need to attend to the constitution, but so far the constitution is not bad. Musa Mwenye, State Council, former last president, former Solicitor General, former Attorney General, former SEC board chair was on TV the other day and he said this is one of the best constitutions we've had since 1964. It provides for at least reining in the executive and the president if there is misconduct. It can go beyond 2 terms. If the judiciary and parliament can work, he has a running mate who's vice president. There are institutions, even if they are failing here and there, this is what we have. We have a locked-in date of elections. He can't change it. There are many things that this constitution provides for. And the so-called non-contentious issues, like on the women and youth, it's a debunked issue because Article 259 clearly stipulates how you can have women and youth participate in the governance of our country. So until next time, I'm trying to have them on Monday, this program on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or we will have emergency programs as it provides for. God bless you. God bless our people. God bless our country. And may God save whoever is messing with Zambia. Good night, and we'll see you next time.